Hello everyone, so I have another ADHD video for you guys for World Mental Health Awareness Month. Oh wait, I think it's a Mental Health Awareness Month. There, I think that's it. Yes, I know it's the last day of Mental Health Awareness Month, but I have ADHD, so procrastination, that's just what we do. All right, today I'm going to be talking about what I love about having ADHD and just what I think are some of the strengths of having ADHD, because there are definitely some things that make things difficult for us. But there are some things that I think are pretty awesome. So I wanted to share them with you guys in case you have ADHD or anyone you know has ADHD and you feel bad about it. There are some awesome things about it. And all the sources and articles I'm going to cite will be linked in the video description. Number 1, creativity. This is probably my favorite part about having ADHD, is just nonstop creativity. At least for me, I've always been a very creative person. I'm always coming up with ideas for just a bunch of random things. And sometimes it can be overwhelming because it's like, oh my gosh, brain, just stop. It's too much. Sometimes I'm trying to write things down before I forget these ideas. It's like a factory in my brain of ideas, just churning them out. So yeah, sometimes it can be overwhelming, but I would not give it up. Never gonna give you up. Because I'm a very creative person, and if I didn't have the creativity and ideas, I'd feel useless, And creativity has also helped me in just situations and just life in general. I kind of call myself a MacGyver. I don't know if you guys know that reference. If you do, you know what I'm talking about. But basically, I've been in a lot of situations where, it seems like, oh my gosh, how are we going to get out of this? Or sometimes, if it's just being by myself, I'm like, how am I going to get out of this situation? And because I'm creative, I'm able to come up with some way to get out of it, using kind of whatever's available to me. It's happened to me a lot. And that's why I kind of call myself a MacGyver, because I'm able to just figure out solutions, just because of my creativity. I could probably do a whole video of the times where I was, kind of like a MacGyver, and I was stuck in a certain situation, and I just had to come up with, a solution with whatever I had, and I was able to do that. But I don't know if anyone wants to see that, but trust me, it's happened quite a bit. So according to an article on scientificamerican.com, 2 core symptoms of ADHD, inattentiveness and impulsiveness, suggest a connection between creativity and ADHD. So inattention, which occurs more frequently in those affected with ADHD, likely, leads to your mind wandering or drifting of thoughts from an activity or an environment, and this drifting can lead to new useful and creative ideas. Researchers in one study asked a group of college students with and without ADHD about how they prefer to approach problems. Those with ADHD were more likely to enjoy coming up with new ideas. Those without ADHD were more likely to enjoy using or developing existing ideas. Boring. The students with ADHD also performed better in certain subject areas than those without ADHD, and these included the arts, creative writing, science discovery, and architecture, but these achievements were self-reported. Number 2, curiosity. So this is another thing I love about ADHD, is just I'm always curious. I've always been a very curious person. Sometimes it can get you in trouble. Curiosity killed the cat, Yeah. I remember one time that I was pretty curious. I was at a hotel in Mexico with my younger siblings, and we were just we were in a really nice hotel, just walking around different floors, just exploring the really nice hotel. And I saw a door that was ajar, and I was curious. So I looked, I wanted to see what was behind the door. And, I was 12, and I saw an older couple doing their thing. And I was like, oh my God. And somehow I think the guy saw me, and I was like, shoot. And I told my siblings, run. Cause they were like, what are you looking at? And I'm just just freaking go, just gun it, just run. Cause I thought the guy was gonna come murder us, cause I happened to look in. And we were able to escape before he caught us. But, that's what happens. So you gotta be careful with the curiosity. You might get murdered. And another great thing about being curious I feel like it kind of makes for a pretty fulfilling life because you're, always wanting to try new things and learn new things. And that's definitely the case for me. So for those who are also really curious, this is definitely a strength, even though sometimes, I can get you in trouble. But according to the website nextstepforadhd.com, people with ADHD are the explorers, the dreamers, the innovators, the visionaries. Many entrepreneurs and creatives have ADHD, and curiosity can lead to learning, acquiring knowledge, and becoming an expert in one's field. It is a vital ingredient for becoming a good journalist, writer, inventor, or scientist. And that's definitely true. You can't really be any of those things if you're not curious. One of my biggest passions is traveling. And I feel people who love traveling are just naturally really curious people. Research shows that people with ADHD are actually hardwired for novelty seeking. They have sluggish and underfed brain reward circuits. So much of everyday life can feel routine and understimulating. Very, very true. That's because the ADHD nervous system is interest-based rather than importance or priority-based. So I think that's why, a lot of other people get really annoyed with us because, we don't really want to do what's important, like, right away. We want to do what's interesting to us. And that's why I think, I just try to make things interesting if I think it's boring. Routine can be definitely boring for me. I cannot do the 9-to-5 jobs. I've done them. I wanted to shoot myself. No, I like jobs where it's something new every day. And I think for me, that's why I like working in, entertainment, acting or hosting, because it's never the same all the time. Like if I interview someone, it's not going to be the same interview as if I interview someone else. If I work on set, one shoot, it's, for one, film or whatever, it's going to be different than even the next day because it's going to be a different, set, different scene. To compensate, they are drawn to new and exciting experiences and get impatient and restless with the regimented structure that characterizes our modern world, like sitting in school all day or a 9-to-5 desk job. From the standpoint of people who don't have ADHD or don't understand it, the problem looks like a lack of attention and impulsive behavior. But the real problem is that your brain is craving stimulation. Very, very true. Like even in conversations, if I think the conversation is boring or the person is boring, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go. It has to be interesting to me or else, no, I'm sorry. So when something interesting pops into their awareness, whether something on TV, a comment, or even an idea straight from their very active imaginations, they want to explore and know more about it. It's stimulating, novel, and interesting. Just the thing the ADHD brain needs to engage and activate. Yeah, that's very true. Sometimes that can get annoying because, I'll think of things that I want to, learn or just that I'm curious about and I want to look it up. And sometimes I'll look it up and then I'll end up with a million tabs on my phone or my computer of just things that I'm looking up. So yeah, it can be kind of, cluttered. Some individuals with ADHD find school difficult, but when it comes down to learning, they actually love to learn as long as they are interested in the topic. Very true. Number 3, willing to take risks. According to understood.org, people with ADHD are often risk takers. Pursuing a creative career requires putting yourself out there and facing possible rejection or career failure. I definitely know that from, acting and auditions and, not getting, obviously you're not going to get every job that you audition for. So yeah, lots of rejection and, possible career failure. Another way I'd take risks, I think, is just by moving to different places that, even if I don't know anyone, even if maybe I don't even have a job there, I don't know. To me, I just kind of see it as like, life is short. Why not? And like I said, I'm a curious person. I want to see different places and see how the cultures are different, and even from, state to state or whatever. Hopefully I can move to another country too. I wouldn't mind doing that. I would not be scared. And people sometimes will ask me when I tell them about all the different places I've lived, they're like, oh my gosh, isn't that scary? How are you able to just do that? And it's not scary to me. Like, it's just not. Maybe it's a little bit like you get a little bit nervous, but I've done it so many times and I'm more excited. Like if I'm going to move somewhere new, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. So I'm way more excited than scared. I think just a lot of just any creative pursuit is, kind of scary when you're putting it out there for people, because especially, art, that's subjective. So not everyone's going to like it, but, it takes courage to put it out there and, have people criticize you. Number 4, being ambitious and entrepreneurial. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. I love this so much. I mean, yeah, it can be kind of stressful because you are pursuing like so many different things and like, maybe you're not doing as well as you could if you just focused on one thing, but I just kind of can't help it. But I'm trying to like get better at balancing things, my different little things that I'm pursuing. This is from a Forbes article called ADHD, the Entrepreneur's Superpower. What do business mogul Sir Richard Branson, IKEA founder Ingvar Kamprad, and JetBlue founder David Neeleman have in common? Well, besides being monumentally successful, they all have ADHD. Woo! Some of the more common characteristics of ADHD, creativity, multitasking, risk-taking, high energy, and even resilience are in fact strengths when leveraged in the right way and in the right career. One easy way to think about ADHD is having a low boredom threshold. Very, very true. Those with ADHD become frustrated with routine, whether that includes sitting in a classroom for 8 hours a day or spending time chained to a desk at the office performing routine tasks. ADHDers are often at their best in crisis mode, multitasking and free associating to intuitively reach a solution. And if they find something they truly love to do, they are able to focus for hours on end. That thing that they mentioned about being their best in crisis mode, that kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier about me being kind of like MacGyver, like just improvising solutions to things. I kind of think of myself as Aladdin sometimes when he's like, I'll improvise. When you're in a situation, because I don't know, I've just been able to get out of situations where it's like, oh my gosh, like what are we going to do? How are we going to get out of this? And I've been able to like come up with solutions. So that's definitely something I would not give up. Never gonna give. Number 5, ADHD keeps me active and busy because, people with ADHD kind of can't sit still. I like to, stay active and work out and things like that. But I feel like with ADHD, you don't have to work out as much because I'm always doing something. So it's like, I feel like, you're burning calories, this way. It's nice. Number 6, variety in career and where I live. So as I mentioned before, I move a lot. I have moved around a lot. Right now I'm living in my 8th city. I like, discovering a new place and meeting new people and, new stimulation in my brain. It's just, I feel like after a while I'll get bored of a place, or it's just, I just kind of feel it in my gut, like, okay, it's time to move on. Like I've been here enough, I've kind of did what I wanted to do. Especially when you run into the same people all the time, that's a big sign, especially in a city. If you're running into people in a city, like to me, I'm like, okay, I need to go now. This is too much. I don't want to see someone I know every time I go out. Like I come from a small town. So, I kind of grew up with that. I don't like that. So to me, it's once I get that in a big city, I'm like, okay, time to go. And also I just, cause I guess the risk taking thing, that I'm not really afraid. I'm always looking for other opportunities for like work and stuff like that. And if I find a better opportunity in another city, I'm like, my attitude is like, why not? Why? Especially right now, because I don't have kids. I'm not married or anything. So it's a lot easier for me to, move around. And I don't understand people who want to just limit themselves and just stay in a box. Like, why? Why? Especially if you can. Like me, I can. I'm able-bodied. Like I said, I don't have kids or marriage or married. So if I'm able to pursue this other opportunity, why not take it? Why am I going to limit myself? Because I also see it as like, okay, life can end at any moment, and I don't want to get to the end of my life or, if it's tomorrow or whatever, and be like, oh, I wish I would have taken all those risks. I'd rather, have taken them, and at least I know how it panned out. And I don't know, I just wish more people weren't as afraid. I've had people tell me like, oh, I really, admire that, you're going off and trying all these things in different cities. Like, that's really cool. I would love to do that, but I'm too scared. And I'm just like, why? Don't be scared. To me, experiences are just more valuable, and just, I think they make life worth living more than, physical, like material possessions. So that's why I think, in my life, I just want to get as many experiences in as I can. And, how they say, variety is the spice of life. I really believe that. So I just don't really understand people that don't want variety in their life. I mean, if that's what you like, cool. It makes you feel safe. But for me, it kind of would make me really bored, and I don't like to be bored. And number 7, my favorite number, I'm never bored and never boring. Anyone who's watching, if you actually know me, if you've hung out with me in person, tell me, am I boring? Tell me, please. All right. And I feel like a lot of the other things I talked about, kind of feed into this whole like never bored, never boring, just because like I'm never bored, because I'm always doing something. I'm never like sitting at home like, what should I do? Like, what if you're bored, then you're boring? I never think that, because I always have something to do. I have a lot of hobbies and interests, and I'm always doing something. And even if I'm in a situation where like it's kind of boring, maybe like not at home, but I'm out somewhere and it might be kind of boring, like a waiting room, or I don't know, a classroom, or I don't know, something. I always try to make it interesting and fun when I can. Sometimes I've gotten in trouble. I remember one time in middle school, my friends and I, like, we discovered how to like make the balls of toilet paper like stick up on the ceiling. So we would put like water and soap. Okay, take notes, kids, so you can do this. No, I'm just kidding. But we would, wet them and everything, and then throw them on the ceiling. And I just thought that was so fun. We were just doing it. And it was kind of cool to, entertain ourselves with just toilet paper and water and soap. So we're just doing it. And then, we got yelled at. So yeah. And then another time, my cousin and I, we were on the back of a pickup truck in Mexico. We had a straw and napkins, and we were throwing spitballs at the cars on the back of the pickup truck, and until we got yelled at. So yeah. And then when we got home, my cousin and I were throwing toilet paper balls on the ceiling of my other cousin's room until we got yelled at. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, I was not trying to hurt anyone. Okay. We were just enjoying ourselves, having some fun with paper and water and spit. And, I thought it was cool that we could just entertain ourselves with that. So we just, just did it until we get yelled at. That's how we do things. All right. Just do it until you get yelled at. So yeah, because I'm always doing stuff. I'm very curious. My brain is always coming up with ideas. I don't know. I'm just not bored. I don't have that problem. Like, I'm just not bored. I always doing something, probably a little bit too much, because then I don't have time. And sometimes it's hard for me to like make time for other things and people and stuff. So, I have to work with, I guess scheduling, but at least I'm never bored, so that's cool. And I hope people don't think I'm boring. I've never had people complain about that, like, on dates and stuff, like, oh, you're boring, or, my ex-boyfriends. I mean, there were other problems in the relationships, but it was never that I was boring. And if you're ever bored, just hang out with a friend of yours that has ADHD. Okay, promise you will not be bored. All right, so that is it for things I love about having ADHD, aka ADHD strengths. If you have ADHD, let me know in the comments if you agree with any of this, or if you relate to it, or if there are other things about having ADHD that you love. Would you trade it to not have ADHD? I think ultimately I wouldn't. I really like having all these things, so especially the not being bored part. So I think I would, even though there are some difficulties, I think I'd rather stay with the ADHD. And if you maybe just know someone with ADHD, let me know if like any of this resonates with you, and maybe hopefully you'll appreciate that ADHD person a little bit more. Also, if you like my hair, okay, I use Nature Lab Tokyo hair care products. This is a perfect smooth blowout lotion. I love it. It makes your hair really soft. It feels like when you just got out of the salon. And the cool thing is you only need a little bit of it, and then you put it all over your hands and your hair, and it'll last for a really long time. This bottle has lasted me probably like around 6 months or so. So if you want to check out this product and the other amazing products I have for all different types of hair, you can check out their website linked in the video description, and you can use the discount code that I'm going to post somewhere here to get a discount. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Woo! Being ambitious and entrepreneurial. They're largely okay. All right, so that is it for 7 things.